Welcome back to Irons United. It has been a while. We are here for a very short and sweet, beautiful gift of the gab. I am joined by Alf. How are you, my friend?
Yeah, not too bad, mate. Just raring to go, you know me.
Raring to go during this exciting international break where we don't get to see any West Ham and I suppose any further pain throughout the season. Anyway, we've got a few things to catch up on. I suppose first thing is first, of course, I am Anton, you all know. Please make sure you subscribe to the channel and get your comments in during the show. Let us know your thoughts and opinions on the show. Get them in below, as myself and Alf are telling you about just now. Alf, season ticket price hikes. Give me your kind of rundown and thoughts on that.
Yeah, I mean, basically, they've all put up the season ticket prices. I suppose is it in line with inflation, or is it in line with the way the prices of Premier League tickets will go? I think the issue is that whereas other teams are having to pay for their stadium, we're not paying for a stadium, and we were kind of promised a price freeze for a couple of years, which we've had. And I suppose it was kind of expected, but still not warranted, really.
Yeah, I think, you get, if you listen to social media, God, your opinion could be totally swayed when you think of, and you see people writing stuff, and if you keep seeing it, propaganda.
Yeah.
But I think we were talking the other day, and you were saying things like, the club are 2 or 3 years behind where they should be.
Yeah.
And therefore, does it really harm the club that they should just keep the prices at the level they are? Because when I first seen the hike, I thought, was I really bothered by it? Probably not. But then when you see the prices of what people are being charged for the progression of our club, is not, it doesn't really add up. Would we massively bother if the club were high flying, doing fantastically well, maybe 3 years into £100 million investment each summer? Would the fans be complaining at paying an extra £50 to £100 per season ticket?
Yeah.
I'm not so sure, but when it's still the kind of bang average kind of style of football, and is this a thing of greed with the owners, Alf?
I think it is. I think it's a business opportunity, isn't it, for them? Let's face it, they're paying £2.5 million a year for the stadium. Most Premier League clubs now are not reliant on the ticket prices or the season tickets anymore. They're relying on TV revenue money to actually make a profit, or any kind of profit. So the hike in prices is only going to give us, £2 or £3 million, £4 million an extra year. And is that money going to be put into a transfer kitty? I'm not so sure it is. So you've got to ask, wonder what the motives are putting up the prices right now in year 3 or season 3 of being in the London Stadium. I think they could have frozen it for another 2 or 3 years at least. It wouldn't have done them any harm. It would have shown a lot of good faith to the fans. And I'll also say this. I mean, if you're a solo season ticket holder, I would say, do you know what, £50, £100, it's not a massive deal. Some people might be able to afford it.
Considering the prices maybe of some of the areas of the stadium,
Yeah, absolutely. However, what I will say, if you're bringing in a family, then all of a sudden that is a massive issue. If you're bringing in, I bring my lad with me, it's not just £50, £100 going up. That means it's £200. So everything is doubled up. If you've got 2 children, if you got your partner coming as well, that's a lot of money to suddenly find. So I don't think personally, I don't think we should have had the price rises. I can see why. It was expected, but certainly not welcome.
For owners of our club that have gone through such a kind of turmoil and crazy, tenure at the top of owning West Ham, etc., going from last year to having problems to this year, trying to turn things around. These small things, which are big things to the fans, are the things that can keep fans on your side.
Yeah.
And it's subtle things like what they've done in terms of the price hikes that can really, 2 steps forward. What does it they say? 2 steps forward, 2 steps back?
Yeah. One step forward, 2 steps back.
2 steps back, sorry. Yeah. And it is like that. It's like 1 step forward, but let's just quickly jump back 2 steps. It's like they've gone ahead of themselves again and gone, the fans are behind us. They're behind Pellegrini. They're behind the fact we spent £100 million. Well, I'm telling you now, board, you have to spend another £100 million this summer for me to be able to buy into what your long-term plan is I'm not accepting anything below £100 million, if I'm being brutally honest, as a West Ham fan. And that probably brings us on nicely, Alf, to the rumoured thing that's going around social media, saying that the board have said and committed to £25 million transfer kitty for the summer. Before we talk to you about that, Alf, get your comments in below. Let us know your thoughts on the season ticket hikes. Do you agree with him? Do you disagree with him? Where's your thoughts at? Do you agree with what Alf said, what I said? But Alf, £25 million in the summer, what's your thoughts if the rumour is true?
Certainly not enough. Definitely. I mean, if that's the absolute minimum that the board, that the club are going to put in, and then they're going to add on to that, you know, the sale of players, the revenue from sale of players, then I would say possibly that might be about right. However, again, we've got to look at the amount of costs that the club have got in terms of the stadium, which is hardly anything, the amount of money that they're getting in terms of revenue, which is obviously a lot. Then you've got to think, well, actually 25 million of new money is actually not a lot. It's not a lot at all. I'd be looking at, you know, with sale of players, because we do need, you know, to get rid of a lot of players. I think a sale of players, I think we've got to look at a minimum of 100 million. I would actually say, and I'm never usually like this, because I'm very conservative with my money and the club's money, but I would say, actually, we've got to go for 150 million if they want to achieve what Pellegrini wants to achieve, and having a group of players that can play the way he wants to play and break into that top six.
Absolutely, I couldn't agree with you more.
Yeah.
I think, I mean, again, all this 25 million chat is rumoured to come from sources in the nose on social media who get things right and wrong quite regularly. So
I can make stuff up as well. You know.
We'll believe it when we see it. But the point we're trying to make here is, if the budget is £25 million, it's a bit like, you know, journalism. Sometimes they'll take a specific quote and they'll not really go with the full thing. So I just can't picture it, and I can't foresee how the board have turned around and gone, it's just £25 million, and that's the stuff that's out in the media. I think if we use our common sense, we probably know there's going to be sales, because there's no way that West Ham would invest £150 million, add to the squad and not sell any players. And then absolutely. I think I mentioned to you, Alf, the other day about players like the Snodgrass type player, who I personally do see leaving West Ham in the summer, not because I want him to, but I just think that West Ham want to go to that next level. I'm not saying he's a sort of player that won't help us, especially in a squad, but I think he's the sort of player that will get us between 10 to 15 million. Obiang will get us between 10 to 12. And then you've got to look at the Arnautovic saga. I mean, we can talk about him, and if he brings in, he's not going to bring in 50 now. I mean, let's quickly touch on Arnautovic. He's out of form. He's picked up a couple of injuries. He's caused a bit of havoc in January. What would you do?
I would certainly see if he picks up his form by the end of the season. He's definitely out of form. He's out of favour. He's, you know, hacked off a lot of people. I think he's hacked off the rest of his teammates, to be quite honest with you. I think he's got a lot of bridges to build. But if he does find form in the next 8 games, let's say, and he scores a few goals, I think we should keep him, because he is the only striker that we have who can create something out of nothing. And let's not forget, that's exactly what he was doing all last season. Our service to him and up front was absolutely appalling, exactly the same as this season, pretty much. In fact, no, that's a bit unfair. We are a little bit better than last season, but he is still the only one who can create something out of nothing. If we consider the game a couple of weeks ago, it was against Crystal Palace. We didn't even have a shot. Was it Crystal Palace? I don't know. Whoever that we were playing didn't have a shot until he came on about 70-odd minutes.
70-odd minutes.
Yeah, and he was the first one who took a shot, and it was a decent shot, to be honest with you. So I know there's a lot of people slating Arnautovic, and I'm probably one of the top people here, but I would still say he's the best one, and I would still say have him over any other import. Let's say he's got no Premier League experience. I know it's going to lead right on to you. What do you think?
I think you're alluding there to, maybe we had a brief discussion yesterday about Maxi Gomez from Celta Vigo, who was rumoured to be coming to West Ham in the January transfer window. And I think your thoughts on that was that no Premier League experience compared to Premier League experience, and I can't fault that, because that's what I would take as a no-brainer. But for me personally, I think we missed an opportunity in January, because I know Arnautovic is at prime, and I still agree with you. He is definitely our top-notch striker. But I think what he's done now, he's having to work really hard to win back not just the fan base, probably the squad, probably players, for speaking out so loud. And you know, unless he hits form over the next 8 games, the last 8 games of our season, then we're not going to get the potential £50 million that's rumoured to be there. I agree that he is a player that we would. It's funny, people talk about West Ham hit that run of form where we won 4 or 5 games without Arnautovic, but he's still our best player. He's still one of our top players at the club, and he can change a game like that. He can score goals like that. Yes, he's not in form, but there has been quite a few issues, and if he can find that back again, then of course we want it. But I think I'm reasonably excited about the thoughts of Pellegrini getting his man or his men in to mould what he wants at West Ham. And let's not forget, Arnautovic is not a Pellegrini man, although I think Pellegrini likes him. But if Pellegrini can generate 30+ million for him between Snodgrass, between Obiang, between other players, then that's him got his transfer war kitty for the summer to go and get the players that he wants and bring in. And I think, you know, there's that element of Maxi Gomez. He has been scoring goals throughout his whole career, although since the link to West Ham, he's dipped in form. I would still, you know, if Pellegrini wants him, I want him because Pellegrini gave me that feeling about Anderson, and you know, we'll talk about that in a minute. But he's got his man, and he is an impact player. He's a luxurious player. He's a player that can have that knock-on effect when we try and sign other players in the future. Maxi Gomez or Arnautovic for you, Alf?
Arnautovic, all day long.
Yeah,
all day long. Now, I will have a little clause in there. I'll wait to the end of the season. Now, you know, there's a little sidebar here that if he's rubbish at the end of by the end of the season, still hasn't picked up his form, then on your way. But it really depends. For him, it's his West Ham career here. How he does in the next 8 games, that will determine for me whether we should keep him or not. Because now it's not about you know, having a passion for a player, or you know, like that we've endeared ourselves to him as we did last season. What a great player! What a great West Ham player! You know, everybody was talking about him as, you know, reaching the levels of Di Canio in terms of the fans' affection for him, if you know what I mean. That has gone. In my eyes, that's completely gone, and he'll never get that back. However, he can still be one of our players who do a great job for us, you know.
Alf, it was funny, we for any of you that haven't seen it, we've done an episode with Chris Akabusi, and during that episode, Chris Akabusi felt like Arnautovic was going to be one of the only strikers that may stay at West Ham. And it was the way he described that, and what you're kind of saying is what made me start to think, well, maybe that is an opportunity, because, you know, if you've got him in the ranks with other strikers coming in, I mean, that's a good attacking force. Although there's still that element of me that I can't help, but when you play to his strengths, that having a Chicharito, which everyone keeps talking about, the super sub element, that he is frightening when he gets on that ball. I mean, the guy is 5 foot, is 3 foot 2, and he still out jumps a lot of the strikers and scores 2-headed goals inside the box, and you can't remotely fault. Oh, sorry. Hello, can you see me?
Yeah, I can see you.
Right, that's fine. So you can't remotely fault that side of things at all. So I mean, I don't know. It's going to be an interesting summer, and that's the part that kind of excites me, I suppose you could say, about the summer.
I mean, look. I think we've definitely had a problem with our strikers this season. Perez hasn't worked. Carroll, we know. Chicharito basically hasn't really worked. I know he scored a couple of goals, but he's always has that potential, but hasn't really worked. And Arnautovic, you know, we've had a really bad season in terms of strikers. But I think if we kept Arnautovic, if Chicharito stays, the others can go. We need to reinforce. I think, you know, getting somebody like a Gomez who can come in, who can learn his trade, you know, in Premier League trade, I should say, whilst, you know, we've got 2 proven strikers up there, I think it'd be really good.
Absolutely.
I will say this about Pellegrini, and I will say this about Snodgrass. Let's face it, you ask any fan at the start of the season, they would have thought, Snodgrass, no chance, right? I always liked him, actually, as a player, but I admitted that he wasn't, you know, in form, and it was right for him to go under Bilic. I saw him right at a pre-season game at Wickham, okay? And I thought, do you know what? Who's this player? Who is this player? Brilliant. And he started off, the season like that. Yeah, the last few games he's, found it a bit tough. But I think Pellegrini had his eye on who he wanted to keep and who he didn't want him to keep. And I think a few players surprised him in pre-season. Snodgrass was one of those. Yeah. I'm not so sure that Pellegrini would want to get rid of him because unlike the bulk of the players, you know what you get with Snodgrass. He's a terrier. He's a workhorse. Yeah. And that's what we need to have a balanced side.
There's an element of that. I can agree with that. I just think to myself, when all players are fit, when you add all our midfielders into that mix, because I feel like Pellegrini's building this, his man management of top level players, which we're not used to that. We're not used to having two sets of 11s that can start every single game. So for the first time in a long time, a manager's going to have to manage players at a club like West Ham. So we're going to have to kind of try and get used to that mentality if we're going to try and grow as a club. So being able to have, if Yarmolenko, if Wilshere ever gets fit in West Ham, decide to keep him, add all them to the mix. And there's, I don't think that Pellegrini's going to go into the summer and not sign another midfielder. No. And it's not where our strength is. I'm not saying we don't need to sign another midfielder, but I think Pellegrini's going to sign another midfielder. I think it's just where he is. He's going to stamp his own authority onto that squad. And I agree with you. Snodgrass, when he was at Hull, the way I described Snodgrass was when he was at Hull, he was the main man. Yeah. When he signed for West Ham, he wasn't the main man, but he had to adapt to playing as part of a team and a squad. Yeah. And that's maybe taken a bit of a while. He wasn't treated fairly. He went away to Aston Villa. He worked hard. He came back in and he's proven himself. So I'll back that 100%. If he stays, he stays. If he doesn't, he doesn't. I just think to myself, if it is relying on money coming into the club, then he can probably get between 12 to 15 million for Snodgrass. Then I think he might take that deal. But it'll be interesting to see. I suppose that brings us on to Felipe Anderson with the rumoured link to Real Madrid, 60-odd million. I mean, straight up question, would you accept 65 million for Felipe Anderson, Alf?
Yes.
And do you think it's realistic?
Is it realistic that they go for him? I'm not so sure. I think they would. I think possibly another team might go for him, but I'm not so sure that Real Madrid would. But, I think it's all dependent on whether they get Eden Hazard as well. I think he hasn't been that consistent enough for us. I think, and that's why I think, yes, he had that flurry of games around about Christmas time, before Christmas. He was, knocking them in. He scored a couple of, great goals. He had some, great passages of play. And then he's gone off the boil again, intermittent, inconsistent. I think if you've got 65 million for him, just imagine what we could do with that. Add that to the 25 million, add that to the rest of the sales. We are talking about 150 million. Now, the only reason I said to you, and I said to you this before, that we could get rid of Anderson is because we've got Lanzini, and if we can keep Nasri as well. If we've got those two, we've got our two creative midfielders. Then you add Wilshere, Rice in there. You add Yarmolenko coming back. Actually, I think our midfield's not so bad. It's actually quite a good one. So I think we can afford to cash in on Anderson. Let's put it that way.
I look at Anderson like a luxurious player. I've said it before. I've said it. I'll always say it. Yeah. Previously, a couple of years ago, I would have said that West Ham aren't ready for that luxurious player. But I do think we need to go all out to keep this guy and make sure he stays at our club at least for another couple of seasons. Solely down to the fact that having that name, who's in the Brazilian squad, who has got. If you're a statistical reader, he reads really well in games. He scores goals, he assists goals. Yeah. And yes, I know he's up and down in form, but in order for us to progress to the next stage, we need to have the Felipe Andersons at the £42 million in order to attract that level of player. Now, I get why people would say, let's cash in. I don't want to cash in. I don't, because I know times have changed, but let's remember when we cashed in on Rio Ferdinand for £18 million and we bought Rigobert Song and Titi Camara. And look how that worked out. And I'm not saying that's exactly how it's going to work moving forward, but, we have a player that's got so much potential and we've seen what he can do. Therefore, is £65 million worth it to lose Anderson to try and build a player to get, if we were to sign another player to replace him and he didn't hit the ground running and he took another 6 months to get used to the Premier League, Yes, we have Nasri, yes, we have Lanzini, but I still think we need an Anderson. That's me personally.
Yeah, no, look.
But it's going to be tough for the board to not accept £65 million. There's no ifs or buts about it. I don't want that to happen. So if it came down to it, I'm saying no, but I get why people would say yes.
I'll put it this way, he's a £40 million midfielder for me. He's not a £65 million midfielder. That's my reasoning. Look, I completely agree with you. In fact, you know, look at our history. We've always been a selling club. You know, we get some great lads coming through the academy. They break into the first team. They have a great season or a handful of games. And then all of a sudden, they're off. And we've done that for too long. And that's the problem. So now we need to be that, if we were serious about going forward and breaking into a top 6 and challenging for Europe and challenging for FA Cup, League Cups and all this kind of stuff, we need to keep these players. It's as simple as that. As I said to you before, you know, there's one thing that we have to do. Don't hate me, but we have to be like Spurs have been over the last couple of years, in that they've kept their best players where they've had a lot of interest from other big clubs for their players, like the Kane, Dele Alli, you know, Ericsson, Son. They've been courted by a lot of other teams, and they haven't gone. And let's face it, Spurs aren't the biggest payers in the world either, so they could have easily gone. If we can keep our players like they have done, I think we'll be there.
If you're currently watching us right now and you haven't commented, just quickly flick your finger up and down, start typing up a little question and let us know your thoughts and everything that Alf has just said. Do you want West Ham to be like Tottenham? I'm not saying, Alf, you have said that. I'm saying you just want to follow.
You really are going to get me in trouble, aren't you? Oh God, I can just see the comments now. No.
You sunk me in, and I went for it. Do you think we should sell Felipe Anderson? And if you do, please jump on and put the comments in below. We will respond, and we'll also maybe do follow-up shows to let us know what your opinions are as well. Please get the comments in. All you need to do is just flick up, put the thumbs up as well. Let us know your thoughts and everything we have said. Before, I suppose, our last final point, Alf, is Declan Rice called up to the England squad. Looks like he's going to be playing I think he'll play some part tonight for England. You know, the training videos that England release and West Ham release always look great, but that's a typical West Ham thing, and also probably a typical England thing. I mean, he is a great young player, though, isn't he, Alf?
Brilliant. He's our best outfield player. You know, he's not our best player for this season for me, because it'll always be Fabianski, because he's the one who's saved us all the time. But outfield, he's our best player. He's our most consistent player. I think he'll do the same for England as well. Yeah. You know me, I'm not really an international matches kind of fan. I love international football per se, but it is too much of a break from domestic football for me. You know, I'd like to go back to the old days where they have to play on a Saturday, they play for England in a Wednesday, then they're back in to the club on a Thursday. You know, this taking 2 weeks off is a bit of a nonsense for me. But there you go.
Yeah. No, I get it. I'm kind of the same, but I think having a player like Declan Rice in the England setup is always going to make me a little bit more interested, just to see, signed a new contract. I mean, he's also a bit of controversy around Declan Rice right now because of previous comments he wrote when he was a bit younger, a couple of years ago. Yeah. And I'm remotely not sticking up for what he wrote. It's not right. I mean, especially living in the west coast of Scotland, it's a very rife thing, and silly things to say. But if I don't remember what I wrote. Maybe if I wrote something on even a text message to someone that I care about yesterday, let alone 2 years ago. If the guy comes out and apologises and means it, and I don't believe he was political when he was writing his comments. He was naive and stupid. He was so stupid to write it. He's apologised. He's a kid. Just bypass it. And I suppose, if anything, it's a lesson. It's a lesson to be learnt to anyone who watches our shows or anyone that's on social media. And do you know what the funny thing is, Alf? You said there he's a kid. But West Ham social media is rife of adults who are equally as rude, who are equally controversial, who are equally aggressive. And it's a message out there. Just be careful what you write, because eventually things come back to bite you on your bum.
And look, you hear of people being, sought out by the police, for writing stupid stuff as well. So it does happen. And, you got to ask yourself, you know, if he was still playing for Ireland, would he have had to, you know, issue this apology, or is it just?
Would he have remembered? Would he have remembered?
Well, you know, I mean, it's just, you know, and you know what it's like. You know, you hear about these comedians now who are being brought up on something they wrote or said in a, you know, one of their sets 10 years ago, and it's just like, you know, that Kevin Hart was a massive one in the States. Yeah, they were hounding him, and it's just like, whoa. So I think I have sympathy, not for what he said. And you know, I don't want to get into that whole thing, but you know, look, if he apologises, move on, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I suppose our last final thing to say before we go is, listen, what's your thoughts on Declan Rice being called up to the international squad for England, and also let us know your thoughts on him transferring over from Ireland to England. Lastly, myself and Alf and the guys at Irons United have been working a lot over the last week or so trying to plan the future of the channels. We've got a lot of interesting, nice new content coming out. Yeah. We are looking for new faces to come on the show, so get in touch with us via Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, our website, or YouTube. Let us know your thoughts. It's really, really easy to do. Just need to Skype in and we'll record the show and get your opinion. Yeah. Why not? The whole point of this show is to get your voice, not just our voices all the time. You probably get fed up of hearing our voices. And also we have a website, don't we, Alf?
Yes, we do. Yes. ironsunited.com or wordpress.com. So we're also looking for writers, you know, bloggers. So if you want to fancy writing for us, get in touch with us via the website. And we can start writing about West Ham and we'll publish it straight away. So that's good. So we need your faces. Hopefully you'll be a little bit better looking than me and Anton. I wasn't going to be so rude to you, but yeah, look, we need beautiful people on here. Yes.
Anyway, listen, thanks for watching. Get your comments in below. Let us know your thoughts. Let all your West Ham friends and family know that we have this channel. Hope you enjoy it. Give us feedback on all our shows. That'll be great. He's been Alf wherever he is. That side, I don't really know where he is.
I don't know. I'm that side. There we go. Over there somewhere.
I've been Anton, and we are Irons United.
All right. Before we go, Everton game, next home game, Everton game. We will be at Style Space, West Ham Supporters Club before the game, doing a few interviews. So if you do see us in and around the stadium, whatever, come and say hello. You know, we don't bite, and but don't try not to come at me with fists like this if I've said something controversial, because I'm a really friendly guy. You know.
Brilliant, excellent. Hopefully we see you there. Anton, Alf, Irons United. Come on, you Irons.
Come on. Cheers. See ya.